What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more am I the butthole? And if you'd like to skip that initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below. But if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, as it all really helps out our channel, and just thank you so much. As you may notice, got a bit of a sinus issue going on at the moment. Hopefully it doesn't affect you listening too much, but just wanted to give you that warning. Anyway, let's crack on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from Bro47843. Am I the arsehole for refusing to take my brother in after he ruined my wedding? Context: I, 32 male, have a younger brother, Sean, who's always been the troublemaker in the family. He used to get our parents involved in his never-ending shenanigans, and it got worse as he grew up. His behaviour affected me hugely. As my parents sold stuff, I had to be able to bail him out all the time. They even split my college fund and gave half to him so he could start a small business, since it was unfair I had education while he couldn't go to college. I've limited contact with, but heard about awful stuff he did, like stealing my parents' medication money and ruining the only car they had, etc. I didn't invite him to my wedding, but fell into family pressure and sent him and his then girlfriend an invitation. He showed up, made a scene by trying to snatch something that belonged to one of the guests, and lied saying my wife took it and his girlfriend backed him up, which had the police involved, and my wedding got ruined as my parents and his girlfriend defended him to no end, first saying he didn't do it, then he was just drunk and doing a prank. That was it for me. I visited him at the station and told him I had enough of his behaviour and cut contact. Fast forward 4 years later. Dad passed away and Mum got remarried. Sean got out of jail and his stepdad refused to take him in. They had a huge argument and Mum then called crying, asking if I could take Sean in for a few days till his leg injury recovers. My initial response was no, but after Mum kept begging me, I started falling for the pressure. My wife said she doesn't want him there after what he's done at our wedding night, accusing her of stealing. I told Mum I refused to take him in, and she blew up calling me selfish, heartless, unsupportive to let my brother be homeless. I said he offended my wife and ruined our wedding, but she took us in. We're trying to use the situation to get back at him and humiliate him. She had her family wanting me to consider. When I asked why they can't help, they said since I'm his brother I'm obligated to help more than anyone else. And these kind of stories, that question always comes up. Why can't the rest of the family take him in? Why should you be the one to do it? So I'm glad you asked that question, and they come back with that, you're the brother, so you're obligated to take him in. What kind of shitty logic is that? The mother brought him into this world, for God's sake. Absolutely not the arsehole. Brother seems to have got away with his bullshit behaviour long enough, and it's time to face consequences for what he's done all of this time. And if the family wants to take him in, then that's up to them, but you stick to your boundaries on this one. 100% not the arsehole to me. Ari Bloom says not the arsehole and quotes, I'm his brother, I'm obligated to help more than anyone else. Then says, your mother gave him birth, not you. You do not owe him anything. If she really thinks he deserves help, she can provide it herself. OP says, I heard this all the time, like it's my job to make sure my brother is doing well, which is sad because they don't do the same for me. They don't check in on me or offer help, yet because he's my younger brother, then he is somehow my responsibility. And what about Tiddy says, not the arsehole, and quotes, she blew up, calling me selfish, heartless, unsupportive to let my brother be homeless. Then says, she better have called her new husband those names too, when he refused. Greek American Dom says not the arsehole. If your mum can't take him in, why should you? It is time your brother learned to be responsible for himself. No more safety nets. Obvious Airline says, I'm not sure if this is real or not since it's so outlandish and leaves me where you're being pushed over, but here we go. Not the arsehole. Tell your mum you're done talking about him, and if she brings him up again, you're just gonna hang up the phone. That goes with any other family member. You're under no obligation to take them in or even talk to him. I can't believe you don't find this one real. I mean, out of all the stories that we read, there's some real wild ones out there. Candy Forever says, not the arsehole, he ruined your wedding. Your parents have enabled him his whole life. Let mummy dearest take him in. If she can't/won't, sucks to be your bro. You are not his parent. It is not your job to take care of him. I'd cut off all contact with him, plus mum if it were me. You will never win with these people. Enjoy a stress-free life with your wife. Now, what do you guys make of this story? What would you do in this situation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and we'll move on to the next story. And our next story comes from Engagement1234. Am I the arsehole for kicking my brother out of my engagement party for what he said about my fiance? I, male 31, met my now fiance at the clinic I work in. I'm a dentist. She works a lower paying job at the clinic. She's the sweetest, nicest, most beautiful woman I have ever met. She's smart, humble, and has a beautiful smile. Ah, it was love at first sight for me, and I was lucky that she felt the same way about me. I introduced her to my family after 8 months of dating. She wanted to wait because of her fear that my family wouldn't accept her. My sister became her best friend instantly. My mum admired her personality and became friends with her mum. My dad and brother kept their distance and made some pretty hurtful comments about how incompatible my fiance and I were, and how I should keep it moving and look for someone with a better background. They never said anything in front of her though. I ignored them completely and tried to protect my fiance from their snide comments, but because mum and others wanted us to visit, then we didn't have much choice. Last week we had our engagement party at the restaurant. I didn't want my dad or my brother there, but my mum told me to let my dad and brother come, since my fiance would notice I didn't invite them and ask questions about it. I decided to invite them after my mum promised they remain civil and respectful. My family arrived together. My dad remained quiet and started talking with other guests, so things were going pretty well. When dinner arrived, my brother sat with us at the table, asking how much money I lost to make this dinner happen, then how much my fiance contributed at all. My fiance and I were talking about her engagement ring, and my brother randomly started singing, "I ain't saying she's a gold digger." My fiance and her mum stared at him and he stopped. I gave him a look as a warning of him to knock it off. Then I got up from my seat to make a toast and my brother interrupted me loudly coughing, "Prenup," and everyone heard him and stared awkwardly. I was livid. I put my drink down and asked him to see me outside. I had an argument with him and told him to leave. He acted dumb about how he behaved and got mum involved. I demanded that he leave, and he did after calling me nuts, and my mum and dad said I shouldn't have kicked him out. Dad left shortly after, which made mum say I caused a scene and ruined my own dinner by kicking my brother out. My fiance was hurt by that, but mum said my brother cried because I kicked him out and wants us to meet and talk. My brother is older than me. He's 37 and divorced. I was going the whole way through this story thinking, oh yeah, this is going to be like a young teen brother or something like that, and then get to the end and he's 37 and divorced, and you can see why he bloody divorced, like, can't you, the cheeky bastard? But very simply, not the arsehole in this situation. I mean, they're the ones that caused the scene in it, father and brother, and you did the right thing for standing up for your wife by kicking them out of this, because they don't deserve to be a part of it if they're not respecting your wife, and it's really that simple to me. And it sounded like you sort of gave them this final chance, you know, to be at the meal, and they disrespected it, and I just wouldn't include them in anything else in the future because they clearly are not going to change. So absolutely not the arsehole to me. 37 years old, man, gee whiz. Lily says, not the arsehole, how dare they disrespect your fiance? That is crossing the line. I do believe your dad and brother must talk about their dislike for her a lot if he had the balls to embarrass you and her at your own party. He deserved to get kicked out and you shouldn't feel bad about it at all. Nor would I even worry about meeting up with them. Appropriate Basket says, not the arsehole, he cried. Good. He's acting like a child and thinks crime will get him everything he wants. He wants to call your fiance a gold digger while ignoring the facts he's acting like a spoiled, snobby little rich kid. Mighty Thorgasm says, and quotes, my brother is older than me, he's 37 and divorced. Then says, divorced? You don't say. Couldn't for the life of me figure out why. A real gosh darn mystery. Not the arsehole. Kenny Time says, not the arsehole, and quotes, my brother cried, and then says this is what happens when you play stupid games. You win stupid prizes, or in this case the consequences of his own action. If he doesn't want to act like an adult, then he has no place at adult gatherings. And as for him wanting to talk to you, that is entirely up to your whims, and of course he has no say in it. Family is not carte blanche for shit. And we'll have one more from Anonymous for this saying, not the arsehole. I must ask though, your dad and brother are so out of line here. What is driving it? Class? Race? To which OP replies, my fiance and I are both white, but because her family come from a lower class, as my dad claimed, he thinks I'm making a mistake marrying into an ignorant family since most of my in-laws have no college degrees. Now, I think it's a clear not the arsehole in this situation, but what would you do if you found yourself in a similar position? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and we'll move on to the next story. Now our next story comes from Calm Engine 3437. Am I the arsehole for calling my mother-in-law pathetic for wearing a white dress on my wedding day, though she didn't come to the wedding? What? Mother-in-law was invited to our wedding but chose not to come, because she couldn't pick her colour first. Mother of the bride picks first, and then she decided to go no contact with us. This is not out of character, she has literally always been like this. Plus mum teased her a little over the colour and mother-in-law lost her shit. Mother-in-law is slightly back in contact with us. She still isn't speaking to us but has let up enough to be in the same room. The other day, we're at a family gathering and sister-in-law called mother-in-law out on partying in Vegas when she was supposed to be at our wedding. Mother-in-law denied it and said she was at home sleeping, so sister-in-law pulled out the Instagram proof. Mother-in-law posted a bunch of pics with her boyfriend in Vegas and she was wearing a white cocktail dress. I just felt like white was a random colour if she wasn't trying to make a statement. I made a joke that even without going to the wedding, she found a way to be that mother-in-law. I'm so glad she put it on Insta so she can look pathetic for eternity. Her boyfriend claims it is normal to have a white cocktail dress and I'm just pasty and ugly. At that point my husband lost his shit and said I was right. She was pathetic for trying to feel like a bride. Mother-in-law left but mother-in-law's mum started to cry and said we were bullying her daughter for no reason. That hurt. I used to like mother-in-law's mum, but she has changed lately and been so far up mother-in-law's ass and now she only cooks food for mother-in-law's boyfriend because she likes his job. My husband said he was disappointed in his grandmother, but gets it is her daughter. And he said I'm 100% right and she looked like a joke in that white dress and deserved to be called out. Now on this first one I was slightly confused with the first paragraph about there was an initial argument where everyone went no contact with each other, and I could go down and everyone sucks here just for that, but I don't have enough details to get involved too much, but it does sound kind of pathetic, the whole thing in general. I'll just say that. So I'm just going to cover the initial question, which was, am I the arsehole for calling mother-in-law pathetic for wearing a white dress on my wedding day, though she didn't come to the wedding? So you're sort of like gatekeeping white dresses for the whole day for anyone for wearing white on your special day. Absolutely, I think you would be the arsehole in this situation. You can't just say, I totally understand. We've seen many stories where people wear white to people's wedding days and, you know, they get absolutely slammed for it. You know, you can't wear white because just that's the way it is, right? But to say she was in the middle of an argument with you, so she wasn't going to your wedding, she was somewhere else and she was wearing a white dress, I don't know why you'd be so offended by that. I mean, she wasn't even trying to draw attention to it in the first place. It was it sister-in-law that called it out and brought up the Instagram and said, hey everyone, look, she was wearing a white dress and she wasn't at the wedding. How dare she? So I'm going to go for a you're the arsehole in this one. I'm going to be very interested in your comments and the comments below on this one to see what happens. With Glax and Flux, who says there is absolutely no rule, written or unwritten, that says someone can't wear white on the same day as a wedding if they don't actually attend the wedding. You, your husband and your mother behaved horribly to a woman that did nothing but avoid your wedding because she didn't want to deal with you. You're the arsehole. Trish Canova replies to that saying, you're the arsehole. This. You guys behave like bullies. Grandma called you out. She was right. I have a white cocktail dress that I wore in Vegas. I'm also sure someone somewhere was getting married that day. Shocking. You sound kind of entitled and bitter. Get over yourself because no one cares as much about your wedding as you think or want them to. And 71121 Lux says, you're the arsehole. She wasn't at the wedding and you still made a big deal about a white dress. That's pathetic. The whole idea of nobody can wear a white on the day of my wedding, it's pathetic. Must be miserable. Jep 2015 says, everyone sucks here, with a lean towards you're the arsehole. She didn't come to your wedding, which is immature, but honestly, with a daughter-in-law like you, I might not have either. What the fuck is wrong with you? She avoided you because you're clearly not nice to her, and then you criticize her for no reason. She wore a dress, had nothing to do with you. She even lied to try to dissolve the situation because she knew that you were going to shit on her regardless of what she did. And one more from Alpha Queen, who says you're the arsehole. She wasn't trying to draw attention away from the bride by wearing a bridal gown to a wedding. She literally wasn't even at the wedding. Who cares what she wore? Why would you make a joke at the expense of someone who is barely speaking to you? Even if that reason sounds petty as fuck, to be fair. Now, what would you do? What do you think about this story? Someone was wearing a white dress outside of the wedding. Is that acceptable? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll move on to the next story. And our next story comes from Hubstobe. Am I the arsehole for calling my fiance's sister an idiot for a rude comment about the number of siblings I have? To start, I got 8 other siblings, 9 of us in total. 2 of my brothers are biological and the rest are foster siblings, but we're all very close. To me, they're my real family, so I don't really introduce them as anything other than my brothers and sisters. I'm getting married in a few months and all my brothers are going to be my groomsmen, while sisters were asked by my fiance to be her bridesmaids. My fiance's sister Kate is someone we don't talk to much, but still her parents convinced her to let Kate be a part of it. Recently, our families met up for a barbecue at our place, and this is the first time her family meets mine. Well, except her parents, since they couldn't make it. I introduced my siblings to everyone. Some point when we were talking to her sister, she says, "Your parents seriously had 9 kids." She said it with so much disgust. She seemed really mad about it. I told her yes, and Kate goes on about how she thinks my parents were selfish and reckless for never figuring out how to use a condom. And don't they know how stupid they are for having so many kids when there's already an overpopulation? Part of me found it funny, but also very annoyed for thinking that's something she even thought was okay to say about people she just met. So I told her they were foster parents and only 2 of my brothers are biologically related. Not that it's any of her business to critique other people's lives. She looked embarrassed and apologized, but then she got mad. Kate says, well, that's something I could have mentioned so to avoid her saying the wrong thing. And I told her, how about next time she just doesn't say anything at all and avoid looking like an idiot. My fiance laughed a little, but Kate got mad. She walked off and made a comment to my fiance's other sister and cousin about what I said. They know the context but still think I was an arsehole, but Kate was just bringing awareness to what she thought was something bad, and it wasn't necessary to call her names. She doesn't want to talk to me now, and while that doesn't bother me at all, I do wonder, was I an arsehole for doing that? You were right very close to the start. If you're meeting new people, that's not what the first thing you go in and say. You just generally don't say it anyway, but you don't go and say it to new people like, oh, your parents are contributing to the overpopulation of the earth. I mean, who goes about that and says that? Absolutely not the arsehole to me. But Squinky says, Kate was just bringing awareness to what she thought was something bad. Then says, who asked her? Your parents don't need her permission. Also, if they were biological, what are you supposed to do? Shove them all back up your mother? Get back in there, Linda. Kate says you don't deserve to be alive. Substantial Fox 4905 says not the arsehole. She should be thankful she's just like an idiot for her views rather than seriously offending people because she doesn't agree with the idea of a couple having multiple biological children. Not her life to judge. She was silly to assume something. And when you assume, you only serve to make an ass out of you, not me. Crizilla says not the arsehole. If she didn't have anything nice to say, she shouldn't have said anything at all. Seriously, what was her endgame in bringing something like that up? Kill the Dinosaur says not the arsehole. Even if they were all biological siblings, that's a really gross thing to say. It's not her business, and it's not hard for her to just keep her damn opinions to herself. And one more from the best Peter, who says not the arsehole. She insulted your family to your face and then got sad that you said something back to her in response. You were far more polite than I would have been in your shoes. If she doesn't want people to say mean things to her, maybe she shouldn't walk up to people and talk shit about their families. You were very much in line here. Now, what do you guys make of this story? What are your thoughts and opinions on all of today's stories? As always, I would love to hear them in the comments below if you choose to share them. Never any pressure though either, just if you want to share them. And if you do have a moment of your time, you can click that like button, that'll seriously help out as well. And just a huge thank you for spending 20 minutes or so of your precious time with the channel today. It means the absolute world. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Take care guys, much love.
I got food up in the fridge. looking for that new wave. I think I like it how it is.